So Merry Christmas. I hope you and yours had a very good holiday, enjoyed it. There was a football game on today. The Saints, the New Orleans Saints, defeated the Minnesota Vikings 52-33. And because recently I've been getting more eyeballs on these videos, these breakdowns, post-game previews, whatever I do, I took the time, I'm getting more legit, and I'm taking notes. I'm gathering my thoughts so that way I could come through and everything that I want to say, I can say to you guys. Some of it you may like, some of it you may not, depending on what side of the fence you're on, what team you like, and now I'm talking about them. But, so, again, Saints 52, Vikings 33. I want to start off with my thoughts about the Vikings. So, this game was pretty close. It was within 10 points most of the game, and that's where I want to start. First thing I have written down, too much Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins on paper had a very, very good game. He was like 25, 41, 290, threw 3 touchdowns, didn't throw a pick. But the problem that I have here is Dalvin Cook, who's one of the best, if not the best, could be argued between him and Derrick Henry, running back in the NFL. And this game, like I just said, for the majority of it, even into the fourth quarter, was like a 10-point game. There was no scenario where it's not like the Saints got up big early and you have to throw yourself back into it. You could have kept running the ball, and you chose to throw it more so than hand it to Dalvin Cook, again, who is either the best or the second best running back in the NFL currently. And you only give him the ball 15 times. You only let him carry it 15 times, and he averaged 5 yards a carry. I feel like they should have handed him the ball more, wore that defense out, and then, threw it. But I think that's where it started. So I think their game plan was just a little off. I think they would have been better served running the ball a little bit more. Other than that, the Vikings fall to 6-9, so they're done with the playoffs. Their season's pretty much over. They have 1 game left. They have some bright spots. Obviously, I wrote down right here, Thielen Jefferson, so your 1-2 receiver combination, and Irv Smith, who got 9 targets, caught 2 touchdowns today, is starting to emerge. This is the reason why you drafted him as high as you did. I said it in the preview video. He's starting to come along, so they have a good young core of guys. Thielen's like late 20s, but still, Jefferson, stud. Smith looks like he's on his way to potentially becoming the guy that they thought he was going to be, which is a stud. And this is going to lead me on to the next point that I have on the Vikings, which obviously they need to fix their defense, but offensively, they are within I'm going to say, a Super Bowl window offensively. Like I said, Thielen's getting up there, but Irv Smith and Justin Jefferson are young, and Dalvin Cook's got a couple years before, you have to determine whether or not I don't know if they re-signed him. I want to say I probably should have did this research before I came on here. I think they just re-signed him, so you still have a couple good years of Dalvin Cook before he hits that late 20s mark and you start to move on, you start to look for the next guy. But offensively, they have a lot of young talent. I think that they should honestly look into, in the first round of this draft, because they'll be mid-pack, I think that the Vikings need to look into drafting a quarterback to almost be like an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes type deal. And they're going to be mid-pack, mid-range, so I think that they might end up being the perfect place for a guy like a Trey Lance, who you're going to need to sit for a year behind Kirk Cousins, and then maybe he can rein in that athletic ability, those athletic gifts that he has, and sit and learn behind a true NFL quarterback, and then kind of his second year take over and grow with Justin Jefferson and grow with Irv Smith. But I think they really need to start looking at it because, let's be honest, we can all be honest here, if you want to win a Super Bowl, and offensively, I think they have the pieces to potentially put themselves in a position. They need to fix that defense, but in the future, because they're young offensively, they have a potential opportunity to kind of find their way into a Super Bowl window, but it ain't going to be with Kirk Cousins. I've seen Kirk Cousins. He ain't going to win you a Super Bowl. So look into potentially replacing him. He can get you to the playoffs. He's not going to get you over that hump. So maybe they need to draft a quarterback. I would strongly consider it this year to kind of let him grow and put my window in this 2 or 3 years down the line range. On the other side, Saints. Not too many people watched the preview, but I said in the preview, they needed to run the ball, especially the way last week the Bears ran the football on the Minnesota Vikings. David Montgomery had a big game against them last week. felt like Sean Payton would look at that and say, this is what we need to do. This is our path to victory. And that is exactly what they did, because between Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray, they carried the ball 34 times. I also said they needed to get the ball. I thought they would hand it to Murray more, be that bruiser, but Jesus, Alvin Kamara, he's not a big dude, but he will lower the boom. He's a very physical running back, and he had 6 touchdowns on the ground, which tied a single game record. I also said, along with that, handing the ball off to those guys. I said probably, Murray 15, Kamara 15. Along with handing those guys, you need to keep Drew Brees. I said if Drew Brees threw it less than 30 times, you'd win this game. Drew Brees threw it 26 times, and I'm going to get the people that are going to write comments. Drew Brees, you don't know what you're talking about. He completed 19 of 26. He threw for 300 yards. He was slinging it down the field. One of the interceptions the interceptions weren't his fault. Okay, all that may be true. The first interception that he threw was his fault. I know they were talking about, he went over to Cook. Cook didn't run the route. It was a bad throw by Drew Brees. Should have been picked. It was picked. All right? It was a bad throw by Drew Brees. Second interception, Emmanuel Sanders, catchable ball that should have been caught, hit off his hands, went up into the air. But there were also other passes that Drew Brees threw that were in Vikings players' hands that didn't get picked up. Drew Brees easily could have had 4 interceptions in this game. Because of the way they ran the ball, a lot of guys for the Saints were wide open, so Drew Brees looked good. Like, there were a lot of times where guys were catching the ball where no one was around them. He threw one ball down the seam. I feel like it was the only ball that I saw that was into tight coverage to Emmanuel Sanders in the third or fourth quarter, and he threw it about 25 yards. It was his fastball, his version of the fastball now, but it looked like it took everything he had to throw it 25 yards as quick as it did. And it wasn't like a dart, but it was the best version of it's the best version of the fastball that he had. I'm not a Drew Brees hater. I love Drew Brees. I think he's great. I love the competitive juices. I just think at 41 years old with that shoulder that's probably catching up to him that he tore up in 2006, now that he's 41, I just don't think he has it. But this game opened my eyes to the Saints, because prior to this game, I thought I couldn't see the path of them getting to the Super Bowl. Now I could see it. This is the path. You have a good defense. Rushing defense, I'm going to say it, I think it's a little suspect because, I get it. Dalvin Cook only had 70 yards. He only carried it 15 times. He averaged 5 yards a carry. So the rush defense is going to be a little suspect. Good thing for them in the NFC, there aren't a lot of the teams in the playoffs. The Washington football team, the Bucks, the Packers are okay, but a lot of these teams aren't run-first teams. They're not going to beat, like the AFC would be the tougher time with all the running teams. The Vikings aren't going to make it. They're not going to make the playoffs. The Bears will be interesting because they're a running team. Cardinals aren't a running team. So their secondary, their pass defense is very good. They can get pressure. So their path to a potential Super Bowl, I can see it now, is you need to run the ball. You need to hand the ball off to both of these guys. Let Murray carry it. Let Kamara carry it, because they proved to you that they can carry it. They can carry the load. They can get yards and play defense. And then, because if you put pressure on defenses like this, like Kamara did today, Murray did today, and now they're worried about stopping the run, and they're going to say, hey, we're going to let Drew Brees air it. You'll get these guys running wide open because everyone's coming downhill trying to stop the run. That's going to open so many things up for you. And if you could do that, you could run the ball and play good defense. That is the path for them to make the Super Bowl. The path, if there's a game in the playoffs where Drew Brees throws it 41 times, they lose. They're not going to win those games in the playoffs, I don't think. But this is the path. I didn't think there was one before this game, and now I do think they have a path to make to the Super Bowl, and I think it's running and playing good defense, because Kamara had himself a day. Murray played pretty well. He had 70 yards on the ground as well. But this is it. The Saints need to do more of this, and I just don't know if they will. I don't know if they will, because this is really one of the first games this year where they made a conscious effort to say, hey, we're going to run the ball. And I don't know if it's they're protecting Drew Brees, he's not 100% healthy, or whatnot, but this is the way to do it. Mix in Taysom Hill, let him run it a little bit, and play defense, and then when Drew Brees needs to throw it, let him throw it. Let him throw it, but you need to limit the amount he throws it. You need to give these guys the ball more and do what you do. You need to realize that that is your game right now in 2020, and go with it if you want to win a Super Bowl. So I do think now the Saints have a path to be the NFC champions and potentially make a Super Bowl, and it's this. If they don't do this, they ain't making it to a Super Bowl. Vikings potentially should think about drafting a quarterback in the first round because offensively, they have the talent around it. Kirk Cousins, I just don't think is the guy. And obviously, they need to fix that defense, but I think they need to draft a quarterback to grow in with this offense. That's it. That was the Christmas Day game. First one, I think, ever. And we'll be back because there are some games tomorrow, which is Saturday, the day after Christmas. There are 3 more games, a full slate of games. You get one at 1, 4, and a nightcap. So we'll be back. I'll preview some of them. They're not really good, but this was that. Good game. High-scoring game. The over-under on this was 50.5. Saints beat that themselves. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're a Saints fan, you got a chance. If you're a Vikings fan, you got Justin Jefferson, so you got that.